up, everyone? It's me, Steph, the alternate, your nerdy alternative, looking after Popcorn Planet whilst Andy is away at the moment, and I am here with my partners in crimes, my another sister, another brother from another mother kind of situation. It's Kim and Lewis Lecker from Nerd Report. Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Great to be here with you. Yeah, the community's amazing.
Well, we're kicking off the video right with Maria 242 with a £3 sugar box. Really appreciate your face. Thank you so much for that. Keep the sugar bucks coming. We'll get to them as and when we can. But yes, for today's main topic of this stream, we're discussing a little bit more about the Jimmy Kimmel situation. Now, if you missed the video from earlier on today on Popcorn Planet, I implore you to watch it because it's part 2. It's a follow-on from it. A video that Lewis and I did a couple of hours ago, the Epstein list drama. Jimmy Kimmel can't take a joke over Aaron Rodgers' comment. Oh, yeah. We have a different take, potentially, on what is being said, really, in mainstream media. So if you want to hear that different take and open your mind up a little bit more, check out the video from earlier on. Like I said, that's part 1. This is part 2. And, yeah, Jimmy Kimmel has threatened legal action against Aaron Rodgers. And you might think, well, you know what? He's got a good case. He could actually pummel Aaron Rodgers. No, it might not be that easy, guys. So we've got Vinnie Politan, court TV anchor, and a former prosecutor here who told Newsweek that it would all depend if Rodgers could argue his comments were meant to be satirical. So in America, satire is protected by the First Amendment. I wish we had the First Amendment in the UK, that's for sure. So if the comment was made in jest and no reasonable person would believe he was reporting an alleged fact, there is no defamation. Now, again, I do implore you to watch our video from earlier on today because we were kind of arguing along the same lines, weren't we, Lewis, a little bit?
100%. But there's been a little bit of an evolution with that thought since that video dropped. So stay tuned to this video you're watching right now, as I'm going to probably try to explain it a little bit, Steph.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Politan then continues to say, if it's alleged it wasn't satire, then because Kimmel is a public figure, he'd have to prove that the statement was false. Rodgers knew it was false, and Kimmel has actually been damaged. It's always difficult for public figures to win these cases, and Johnny Depp was the big exception. So, essentially, Rodgers has this particular defense of satire under the First Amendment. If Kimmel tries to argue that it wasn't satire, he'd have to A, prove that it was false, B, prove that Rodgers knew it was false, and then C, prove that Kimmel himself was damaged by those statements. That is a big, massive hill to climb. Before we continue any further, General Scott, I salute you. Thank you so much for the $2 sugar bucks. Keep them coming. Really appreciate your face. Now, with that being said, Frank Salzano, who is a managing partner at the sports firm law firm Salzano, Ettinger, Lamper and Wilson, said, quote, the statements very likely could constitute defamation. So this is the other side of the argument here. So under New York and other state laws, when a false statement is made regarding someone being wrongly accused of a crime, courts can consider that statement defamation per se, which in simple terms means, given the severe nature of the comments, Kimmel's damages are presumed and do not need to be proven. So yeah, there's that. And before we continue further, Bonsai, thank you so much for the $4.99 sugar bucks, sending you lots of love, Steph. I've been watching you guys live since the JD case. My husband now asks, are we watching Popcorn Planet tonight? Well, that's an awesome question for your husband to be asking you. I absolutely approve. That is totally Steph approved. Snaps to your Bonsai. Thank you so much for those sugar bucks. Really appreciate your face with that. And Robin, thank you so much for the $2 sugar bucks. Really appreciate your face with that as well. And all the support that's coming in so far. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I'm just trying to find something here. Okay, right. So, sorry, something happened. I've just fixed it. Done and dusted. Right. So, moreover, this particular lawyer then says, however, given Kimmel is a public figure, he may need to show that Rodgers had some malintent when making the statements. Whether this sees a courtroom or not, negative press like this could result in companies that Rodgers and Kimmel endorse to distance themselves until this blows over. So it's a situation whereby even if Kimmel has a case, does he want to risk it? Because, he could get negativity as well, and he could lose out financially until, like it says here, it blows over. So before we continue any further, Lewis, Kim, firstly, do you think Jimmy Kimmel should actually proceed with his threat and commence legal action against Rodgers? What do you guys think to that?
For the sake of content, for me to laugh at, yes, because it has no substance. He literally didn't say he's on the list. Plus, wouldn't they have to prove that the people on the list did something, or there is a list? Because when I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, or we are ahead of this video, but documents are being released. I don't see a list. I think people were expecting number 1, 2, 3 up to 150. And I don't even think that's going to be in there. The damage is already done to Jimmy Kimmel because comedians are supposed to actually respect comedy and not get triggered by comedy. They hate it when the audience does that to them. It's looked down on. With even with veto situation with Netflix and I forgot the comedian over there on Netflix who's gotten in trouble by the audience and he's been heckled. Comedy is supposed to be a safe haven, right? And for Jimmy Kimmel, who I believe thinks he's a comedian, to get triggered by that, it's already ruining his brand. So his brand is damaged as far as I'm concerned, even if you don't like him before that, because he's a comedian that could dish out stuff and cannot receive any. I mean, this is a guy that was saying that if you didn't get the poke, you shouldn't receive medical attention from hospitals. Some people couldn't receive it because of medical conditions in the first place, dude. It's a big assumption stuff. So that's just an example, but of what I think.
And Kim, do you think that Jimmy Kimmel should follow through with his threat and actually commence legal action against Rodgers? What do you think?
I think he should stick to his guns and do what he said. Because in his tweet, he said at the end that if you keep this up, I will see you in court. He was acknowledging that this was not alone going to be enough for him to go to court. And I think that they have a history of going back and forth with each other. And this just kind of, I guess this is where we are in that journey. My issue with this, though, is that I really don't feel like this is satire or comedy, because normally that's when it's funny. And I don't really see what's funny about giddily hoping that someone you don't like is confirmed as someone who hurts children. I think that's a little bit strange, but that's just my opinion. I don't think that it's ever nice to want people to be associated with that. This whole situation is absolutely horrific. And I think it's really sad that that's where we are with this discussion, you know? So I hope the two of them can work it out. And, hopefully people can not make this into a joke. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And so, before we continue any further, Tracy Lee, thank you so much for the $2 sugar bucks. Really, 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 really appreciate your face with that. Thank you so, so much. Again, continue with the support to come through whilst Andy is away at the moment. Really, really appreciate everything that you guys are throwing our way at the moment with this. Now, the second question, again, before we continue with this particular story, is let's say Jimmy Kimmel does start legal action against Aaron Rodgers, yeah, and sues him. Who do you believe out of these two lawyers that we've just referenced on this Newsweek article? Which argument is the best and which would win? Would it be Aaron Rodgers' argument with satire under the First Amendment? Or would it be the other side of the argument, which is that the court would actually consider the statement defamation per se, which means that, Kimmel's damages are presumed and do not need to be proven. Therefore, Kimmel automatically essentially would win, is my kind of interpretation of that. Which argument do you think is the strongest if, Kimmel was to sue? Lewis, you go first, mate.
I'm going to decline to comment on that because my legal certification hasn't arrived. My law degree hasn't arrived in the mail. But I think Kim brought up a good point. When Jimmy Kimmel said, if you continue, and that's called using your words very carefully on the public forum. And I also think that Aaron did the same thing because he never said Jimmy Kimmel's on the list. People forget this was a response to Jimmy Kimmel of years of making fun of him. And also at one point when the UFO, this is related to UFOs, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, when there was government disclosure, whistleblowers in Congress saying that their UFOs are real, Aaron, he went to this show, I believe, and said, hey, the reason people are talking about UFOs right now, it's divergent, so people don't pay attention to this list. Jimmy Kimmel went on his show and said that this guy's a conspiracy nut, saying that, and that he didn't say it in these words, but he probably has brain damage from football. And in response, this guy came back and said the entire things about Aaron Rodgers. I think it was a joke. It's not funny. Look, there's not a law that jokes need to be funny. People make dumb jokes all the time. Just watch my show. But, it's a bad joke. It shouldn't be, this thing should not be a joke. But this was meant as somehow it's become a joke with these two clowns, right? So.
Kim, which argument do you think is the strongest? I appreciate Lewis not answering directly, but, when it comes to the law, a lot of it a lot of common sense is applied in terms of the law. So if you looked at it from a commonsensical approach, which argument do you think is the strongest?
I mean, will say I'm not a legal expert by any means. However, I think my gut tells me that Jimmy would probably go for option 2. I think that would be wise. And my gut feeling would be that they would settle out of court because it definitely seems like ESPN is sweating with this and they don't want this to be a thing. They would want this to go away. So I could see them wanting to end it very quickly and quietly. That would be my opinion.
Fair play. And before we segue across, Double B Studio, thank you so much for the $4.99 sugar bucks, saying Cat Williams said a lot with one sentence about Hefe, about Diddy, about Hollywood, taking advantage of young people who are up and coming. Yes, I've seen that. It seems like there's a lot of these particular interviews and snippets of them that are coming out of the woodwork whereby, people were famous people were kind of hinting and putting clues out there as to like, you know, some of these people are really, really bad eggs. You know, like the Harvey kind of situation. Seems a little bit in terms of the Hefe as well. But Double B Studio, thank you so much for the $4.99 sugar bucks. Again, keep the sugar bucks coming whilst Andy is on holiday at the moment. Make him know that, you know, if he's still not around, you're still going to give the love anyway, whilst we're looking after Popcorn Planet in his stead. But yeah, ESPN are sweating, I think, buckets.
Yep.
Because the day after, on the Pat McAfee show, this happened. It's like they've not learned. They've not learned.
Nope.
So, JJ Watt makes an awkward Hefe joke on the Pat McAfee show minutes after McAfee apologized for Aaron Rodgers' claims that Jimmy could have been on the list itself. So again, guys, if you want to know about this particular apology that Pat McAfee mentioned, please go to the video that we filmed earlier on today, because we go through the apology and we analyze it and all that malarkey. But yeah, going back to this, yeah, yesterday, awkward silence and reactions on this one. So the retired defensive end went on the show, JJ Watt, to share a piece of, quote, breaking news, guys. When asked what mentioned that not being on the list amid the circulation around the subject, he said, quote, my breaking news was actually that I know absolutely nothing about the Hefe list. He said with a straight face, also adding, but I don't want to get in trouble. McAfee's like this. Proper Jean-Luc Picard, next generation facepalm. And if you don't get that reference, no nerd points to you indeed. And yeah, half of the room stayed quiet. Other cast members were like awkwardly chuckling as Watt is seen laughing at his own joke. They're heard exclaiming JJ before one refers to him as a son of a biatch. He then says, I know nothing. I don't want any fights. I don't need anybody calling me out. I don't need any lawsuits. I know nothing.
Panic.
So, essentially, this McAfee show, this JJ Watt dude, took a really, really bad, poor taste joke and made it 10 times worse. Why? Why would a guest on this show the day after make another joke about the list, again, in my opinion, in so poor taste, and then kick the hornet's nest by then referencing Jimmy Kimmel's threat to sue? Before I get your reactions, Robin DL, thank you so much for your continued support for the membership over here on Popcorn Planet, saying Happy New Year to you all. Happy New Year to you too. Really appreciate your face. So yeah, guys, Kim, you can go first. What's your reaction to that kind of bombshell?
I feel like it's kind of one of those situations where there's an elephant in the room and no one wants to say anything, but they can't stop thinking about it. It's almost like, you know that part in Austin Powers where they're like, don't talk about the mole? And then he walks in the room and he's just like, mole, 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 mole. I feel like that's what we just watched. I feel like that's what we just read about. It's like, don't say anything, blah, blah, but I don't want any trouble. I'm sorry. I don't want a lawsuit. No, hide.
And Denise, thank you so much for your continued support for the membership on Popcorn Planet and your kind words there that showed up on the screen. Catherine with a K, as we get on to Lewis and his reaction to that particular part of the story. Catherine with a K, thank you so much for the £4.99 sugar bucks, saying, hey up Steph, Happy New Year to you all. Has Lewis got his Yorkshire hat on today?
No, it's a Rebel, which is kind of similar to Yorkshire because all the Rebels are over there, but I will have it. I will have it tomorrow.
I'm disappointed.
Next live.
I'm disappointed.
I know you are. That's it. Me balls
I'm
are
totally
gone
disappointed.
again.
Yeah, your balls are gone again. That's it. I'm reclaiming them back. They're
All
gone.
right.
They're chopped off. Bye-bye. I have them now. Like, that's just nuts, dude. You need to wear the Yorkshire hat.
I will. It says what does it say? Yorkshire right there. I'll get it. I'll get it next time. I
But
can't see
anyway,
much. I didn't have the
Catherine with a
glasses.
K, thank you so much for the £4.99 sugar bucks. Lewis, what's your reaction to this kind of development? The next day, after Jimmy Kimmel threatens to sue, and there's this whole controversy around that particular show for Pat McAfee. Next day, another guest, another Hefe joke, and then kicks a hornet's nest with the whole Jimmy Kimmel situation. What's your reaction to it?
It kind of tells me that the show's not scripted, which is kind of a cool thing, and he probably made a mistake, regrets it later, and maybe just a regular guy. And also, hey, low key shade at or high key shade at Jimmy Kimmel for he probably doesn't. It looks like he thinks his tweet was dumb or over exaggerated or overblown. That's where the lawsuit comment comes from. If I have to analyze it like that, yeah.
Fair play. Michaela Anderson, thank you so much for the $4.99 sugar bucks. Saying, love you guys. Watched ever since Depp trial. Steph and Kim, you're all dolls. And Lewis, you're awesome. Miss you, Andy. Happy New Year. Popping people. Well, Happy New Year to you too. And thank you so much for that wonderful sugar bucks and those very kind words. Really appreciate your face there. I really suppose at this point, guys, that is it for this particular portion of the live stream. Everyone on the live, stay exactly where you are. We are not done yet. Afterwards, we are going to be discussing Leonardo DiCaprio, Stephen Hawking appearing in these documents, and so many more celebrities. Guys, it's not over. There's still more reportedly that's going to be released for this whole Hefe document list situation. So if you don't want to miss out on any of that, then you need to make sure right away that you are subscribed to Popcorn Planet. Turn the notification bell to all. Like the stream, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy theories, and whatevers. Also, as well, go one step further. Join today. Become a Popcorn Planeteer for as little as $5.99 a month and get exclusive content from the man himself, Andy Signor. And if you loved what was coming out of It's Kim's Gob, and why wouldn't you? Because my logic is undeniable. Then head on over to her channel, It's Kim, for all your pop culture obsessions. Also, then make your way over to Lewis's channel, Nerd Report, for all the reports that's nerdy. He's also touched upon the Hefe situation, Gypsy Rose, UFOs, Jonathan Majors, Marvel, DC. He's the nerd, and he's going to bring you the report that you need to know every single day, guys. Nerd Report, my favourite. And then...
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. You know, I'm biased, but there you go. But of course, because it's me, I got to pimp myself out as well and grift myself out. So please also make sure you head on over to my own channel, Steph the Alter Nerd. I'm your nerdy alternative to Royal News and Gossip on the Daily. In particular, my two favourite people in the whole wide world, Harry and Meghan, otherwise known as Hazza and Megsy, the gruesome twosome. But guys, again, like I said, everyone on the live, stay exactly where you are. We ain't done with you yet. But all those on the replay, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate all your faces. And here's some videos that are showing up on your screen right now that you may want to clickety-click, clickety-click.